This week's movie review was requested by longtime OAW patron, Double O Soldier. Salute to you, fam. And if you have a request for a film or a television series that you would like to see me review, become a patron of OAW Entertainment at patreon.com/OAW. And with that being said, here is my review of the 2009 stop motion animated feature, Coraline.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Once again, I want to give another huge shout out to longtime OAW patron Double O Soldier for another movie request. And yeah, this week we're going to be actually looking at another one of my favorite animated films. Not just stop motion animation, but animation period. We're going to be taking a look at Coraline. So real quick, I'm going to give you guys a really brief rundown of the film, courtesy of Wikipedia, and then I'll get into more detail about my thoughts with the film. So Coraline is the 2009 American stop motion animated supernatural horror film directed and written for the screen by Henry Selick, based on the 2002 novel of the same name by Neil Gaiman. Produced by Laika as its first feature film, Coraline stars the voices of Dakota Fanning, Teri Hatcher, Jennifer Saunders, Dawn Finch, Keith David, John Hodgman, Robert Bailey Jr., and Ian McShane. The film depicts an adventurous girl named Coraline finding an idealized parallel world behind a secret door in her new home, unaware that the alternative world contains a dark and sinister secret. So very brief description of Coraline. Very, very brief. But anywho, so yeah, just a little bit more detail about the story and whatnot. Essentially what Coraline offers us, and it's one of the things that I really like about the film. Coraline's a ghost story. That's what it is. Coraline is a true to form, almost old school, traditional style ghost story given in a contemporary setting and whatnot, and given to us once again courtesy of Neil Gaiman. But one of the biggest takeaways that I have from the film is that it is a ghost story for kids, right? Yes, it's an animated film. Yes, it is a children's film. Yes, your kids can view it. But I would go as far as to say that I think Coraline should carry with it the same sort of parental advisory tag as like Goosebumps. So I probably wouldn't show it to a kid under the age of 7. That being said, though, this is one of my niece's favorite films, and she's only 6 right now. And I think the first time she saw it, she was 5. Anywho, I wouldn't recommend it unless it was like, first grader, second grader. But it is a really cool ghost story for kids. It's a really good mystery. In terms of, the writing, the way it breaks down as part of a 3-part structure, that's done really well. In hindsight, what I originally thought was a false ending actually is a really good setup for the 3rd act. Because I saw this film when it premiered in theaters. I went to see it because I'm a Henry Selick fan. Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my, if you want to talk about a top 5, one of my top 5 favorite films. Love Nightmare Before Christmas, always did ever since I was a little kid. And James and the Giant Peach, I love that one as well. I'm a fan of Henry Selick. I'm a fan of Neil Gaiman, of course, and so, but yeah, what they managed to do with that source material, the manner in which they're able to craft that narrative, to craft that plot, it's a solid ghost, it's a really good ghost story, a solid mystery. It's easy to follow, easy to, keep track of, works at a really good pace. And all in all, I think it's a very enjoyable film. So a couple of things I want to talk about, going into a little bit more detail in terms of the story. First off, I love Coraline as a character. I like how the story takes her from a place of, so Coraline's kind of story arc, right? The whole deal with her character. Yeah, I guess I can take this time to touch on each of the characters that I want to talk about in the review. But, what I appreciate about Coraline is how her character arc is that of the child who pretty much has to learn the lesson that the old Chinese proverb, beware what you wish for, because the whole shtick of the film is that Coraline is bored and she's unsatisfied with her everyday life, right? Her and her parents just moved to this. Actually, not only do they move into a new house, not only do they move into a new town, they move into a whole nother state. Coraline's from Detroit and they moved to Oregon. Yeah. Oh, snap. So that's on the other end of the country, right? They moved to, past two completely different time zones and whatnot. But, she's homesick. This new place isn't really fulfilling her. So that boredom turns into a natural curiosity when her parents are just putting her off, like, yo, go do something, go explore, pretty much get out of our face because we have to work, right? Because our parents work from home. And so that ends up creating this, sort of animosity that Coraline develops towards her parents, and then this discontent that she has with her new life. It's the perfect setup for the villain's plot, which is to construct this dream world, if you will, for Coraline to come into and inhabit and essentially want to live in. That, of course, is a trap. That's the trap for the villains. That's the trap that the film's antagonist sets up for her. So her story is pretty much learning things aren't as bad as they could be. You actually have it pretty good. You have to see the value in what's there. And that only comes once you fall under the threat of losing it all. It's an old lesson that's told in a lot of, sort of folk tales and things like that. I love that it's seen here. And I love how Coraline goes from the discontent to the curious, right? To the suspicious, to the terrified. And then she's forced into a place of action. And then she becomes proactive. And then from her proactiveness, not only does like Coraline's mission is kind of completed. It's kind of like a two-part mission. It's two phases because it gets to the point where it seems like she has made it out of the ordeal okay. But at that point in time, when we get to that point in the film, she realizes that no, she's fighting for more than just herself. So she goes from a survivor place to a savior place because now she's taking it, like she takes it upon herself. No one tells her to, by the way, even the cat, who is her sort of, I guess you could say, unlikely ally, is like, what are you doing? And she's like, no, I have to go and finish this because there are other people I'm trying to help. I love that progression in a young protagonist, but especially a young female protagonist. Because we don't get enough of those types of portrayals now. Especially with female characters. We don't work with them like that anymore. And I really do appreciate that. So, yeah. Real quick, since I touched on the characters, let me just talk about some of my favorites. So, Coraline's parents, I think the characters themselves, they're a little mundane. They're supposed to be because they're pretty much the vehicles, right, for Coraline's quote unquote like mundane life, right? So they're a little mundane. But Teri Hatcher, she does a really good job as Mrs. Jones, but then she also doubles as the voice for the Beldam, the other mother, who's the villain of the film. And that's where I think her chops comes through in that performance, because that character isn't meant to be mundane. That character is supposed to be colorful and flamboyant and enthusiastic and exciting, right? And then when you figure out that character's true identity and what their true motive is, then she turns into this horrific figure. And Hatcher's performance, being able to make that shift, because if you think about it, it's really three roles she's playing. She's playing Mrs. Jones, right? The real Mrs. Jones. She's playing the fake Mrs. Jones, and then of course the Beldam, which is the real villain, right? She does a really good job at all three of those portrayals. I'm also gonna I gotta bring up my dog Keith David. Keith David, man, I gotta bring him up, dude. Keith David, he's awesome. Because he's the voice of the cat, which is once again, as I mentioned, Coraline's unlikely ally in the film. I love how snarky he is, how sarcastic he is. I love that they do that whole thing where it's like, okay, so like traditional horror stories, right? Who are the two characters in a lot of these stories that they are the ones that are the most in tune with the supernatural? Kids and pets. Kids and pets, right? So while this story is sort of unfolding for Coraline, you got this cat. He already knows. He knows everything. I love the reveal when we finally do get the cat's like perception, like his response to what's going on. The way they do it is really, really good. Okay, brief spoiler. Really brief spoiler. The cat is a cat in the real world, just like any other cat. It's not until she goes into the parallel world that the cat can speak. And it's once, but here's the thing though, unlike every other being in the parallel world, that cat, he's not a creation of the parallel world like everyone else is, right? Because the parallel world, everyone has a doppelganger except the cat. He's the only one other than Coraline herself who can go back and forth. And he can go back and forth at will. So he in many ways is our window character into that supernatural space, right? So when first off, that reveal I thought was excellent because I'm like, oh, of course, right? But I love how even with what he knows, right? Like he is both you know how the horror movies will have that well no, actually that's Wybie. Okay. That character is Wybie. The one who gives the warning, like the beware, oh no, don't go, that house is haunted, don't go near the well, all that that's Wybie's character. That's not really the cat. The cat does warn Coraline at certain parts, but not as much as Wybie does. Wybie's that character. Nevertheless, the cat is great. He's awesome. He's really good. And actually, let's go ahead and let's talk about Wybie, man. Voiced by Robert Bailey Jr. Another really good performance. My only complaint about Wybie, I feel like he's not in the movie enough. Especially since Wybie has a doppelganger in the other world, right? And the whole thing with that, the whole gimmick with that Wybie is that his mouth was sewn shut, so he's supposed to be quiet because the real Wybie annoys Coraline because he talks all the time. I kind of wish we would have gotten more of the real world Wybie in this film, but we got enough for him to contribute to what the mystery that Coraline has to solve. Because I feel like, on the one hand, I wish and let's be real about this, biased, yes, brother, we got the black man, who by the way, I want to go ahead and mention this, Wybie saves Coraline in this movie 3 times. So yes, Coraline is the protagonist, she is the hero of this film, but Wybie saves her ass 3 times in this movie. And I know because I counted 3 times he saves her in this movie. So I'm just saying, give the brother some credit. My man Wybie was holding it down for the fam, right? But anyway, but getting back to what I was saying. So as much as I wish Wybie was in the film more, truth be told, if he was, I think he would give away too much of the mystery. Because like I said, Wybie is that archetypal character in horror movies and, supernatural stories. He's the villager, right, who warns the newcomer because he knows, right? Because Wybie, his whole thing is all about superstition, right? It's about, the stories his grandmother told him, the house that they moved in. Wybie was always told that house was haunted because his grandmother's sister disappeared. And he knows don't go there, don't go here, be careful about these people. He's the one that finds the doll, the Coraline doll, and he's like, oh, I thought that was really weird that this, my grandmother had this doll that looks exactly like you. So like, I feel like if he was in the film more, he would have given too much away. Granted, Coraline ends up learning more as the mystery unfolds than Whitey does, but between him and the cat, that was enough. Any more of either one of them kills the mystery for Coraline. I would also argue we wouldn't really have much of a plot in that instance, because she would not have stumbled across the things that she does with too much of that insight. That's what I mean. All right, that was a really long tangent going on about that. Some of the other characters that I really like. So the eccentric neighbors, Coraline's neighbors, Mr. Babinski, voiced by great Ian McShane. For the record, can I just throw out the fact that I love how we have two actors that lend their voices to this film that have worked with Neil Gaiman in other adaptations, because Ian McShane is, of course, the star of American Gods, which is based off of the Neil Gaiman book on Stars, and Keith David did the voice of Lord Makoto on Princess Mononoke, which the English script, the English translation, was written by Neil Gaiman. So I just dug that, two like Gaiman film alumni are in this cast. I just kind of dig that. But yeah, like the two names, like Mr. Babinski, I dig him. Mrs. Spink and Mrs. Forcible or Madam Forcible. The two retired burlesque actresses, they're a hoot. I like how we have these eccentric characters in the real world, and the sort of, how do you put it? It's not a mystique. It's okay. So essentially, like, these neighbors, they're like old retirees, right? Even Mr. Babinski, right? They're old retirees who up here, like they have these illusions of grandeur, right? The retired actresses, the guy who has, the jumping mouse circus, right? But in the parallel world, they actually are those illusions of grandeur, right? So like the way in which that's done, it's very Alice in Wonderlandish, and it helps provide to the I guess you could say the illusion, right? Like the spectacle of the parallel world. Speaking on that, this is the time where I'm going to go ahead and talk about the animation. So as I mentioned before, this is Laika's first animated feature, feature film, their first feature film. And they deliver. Funny enough, Laika's become one of my favorite film studios right now. One of my favorite production companies. They're really good. I mean, almost every movie they put out, because I'm trying to think of a Laika movie that I've seen that I didn't like, and I don't think that's possible. Okay. Yeah, Box Trolls, Missing Link, I haven't seen, but I mean, Coraline, Paranorman, Kubo and the Two Strings, Corpse Bride, love those, right? Love those. So Laika's becoming a new favorite studio of mine. This film, they deliver, man. The animation is good. I mean, dude, the scene with the garden in the parallel world is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, YouTube it, look it up. I'm not going to reveal what happens with the garden, but like just that whole spectacle is really good. I saw the film in theaters in 3D. So even like the 3D effects were really cool. Actually, yeah, this is one of the films where the 3D piece, I think, worked better than most. And if memory serves, I could be wrong on this, but if memory serves, I think this film was shot in 3D, which is why the 3D version of this film is not your standard 3D conversion. it was shot in 3D. So the effects, like it was meant to be seen like that. And like I said, the scene with the garden, the scene with the tunnel, and then of course the scene later towards the end of the film when the tunnel turns into like that web, like that effect, all of that is done really, really, really well. I think really, really good stuff. Oh, and then of course the sequence where the parallel world starts to unravel as Coraline like realizes, you know, when she starts realizing what's going on and parts of the parallel world start to vanish and disappear, like that effect is done really well too. Really solid animation, really, really good stuff. Some of their best work. The music, dude. Okay, so this movie features this really eerie, funny because I'm about to quote Fantastic Mr. Fox, but this eerie little like children's rhyme, really freaking creepy, but it's the perfect song and the perfect little score to set up the atmosphere for what you're about to see. And I'm talking about the song that plays in the opening credits. It's the perfect little setup for what you're about to see. Really creepy, but it works so damn well. Actually, real quick, I want to see who do I have to credit for that music, because woo! Bruno Cowles. Yeah, really good job. And the scores are pretty good too. Yeah, Dreaming. That's the name of the song, Dreaming. Yeah. Oh, and of course, real quick, I got to throw out They Might Be Giants has a cameo performance in this as well. The little Coraline song. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. When it pops up, you're going to be like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" But it works. Trust me, it works. It's good. It's really good. So pretty much, I think that wraps up my thoughts on the film. Actually, don't want to make this video too long. Don't need to. But yeah, solid film. Really solid film. Really, really good. If I'm doing my four, you know what? This is a 4-star. This one's a 4-star. It is. You know, I had to stop and think about it for a minute because I'm like, wait a minute. You know, if I'm doing my 4-star scale, you know, animated films, like what would I consider a 4-star? This, I think this deserves a 4-star. It's really good. It's really good. So for those of you all, of course, those of you all who have seen it, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you all think. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix right now. You can get it on Netflix right now. So check it out, man. It's a really good, you know, I think it comes, what is it, like 87 minutes, right under 90 minutes, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's 100 minutes. So it's just over 90 minutes. So an hour and 40 minutes. But yo, it's going to go by so fast, and you're not even going to, because the movie's that good, you just get caught up in it. Once again, like I said, if you got kids, it's a really cool ghost story for kids. Your mileage may vary. I don't think it would freak, you know, like I said, a 7, an 8, a 9-year-old. I don't think it'll freak them out too much. If you have younger children, though, 6, 5, 4, it might freak them out. Some of the imagery in here is pretty freaking spooky. Okay, it might freak them out, maybe. I would say this though: if they've seen Nightmare Before Christmas or James and the Giant Peach, they're fine. They'll be, especially James and the Giant Peach. If they've seen that, they'll be fine with this one. But this one, especially with the damn buttons and the fucking scissor hands, dude, I'm a grown ass man and it freaked me out. All right, so just keep that in mind. But anywho, so yeah, that's going to wrap up this review. Once again, I want to thank you all for joining me. In the comments below, share your thoughts on the film. Let me know what you guys think. Like this review. If you like the video, share it with anyone you think will get a kick out of it. And as always, if you have yet to do so, Become a subscriber, youtube.com/OAW Entertainment. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell so that you get notified to all my latest uploads, updates, live streams, all that jazz. Finally, I want to go ahead, take this time once again, give another huge shout out to longtime OAW supporter and patron, 00 Soldier, for this review. Thanks so much. And if you guys have a film, a television series you want to see me check out, you want to see reviewed right here on the channel, become a patron at patreon.com/OAW. There, actually, by the time this video goes up, as of this recording, there's only one spot left at the Blockbuster tier, which is this tier. There's only one left. By the time this video goes up, which will be in a couple of weeks, I don't know if it'll still be open. In the event that the tier is closed, just send me a personal message. I'll open up a spot for you so you can get yours in. But you got to hurry because, this is going up the last Tuesday of the month. Requests close on the 1st. All the requests for the previous month, they're closed. And so it'll be another month. So if you have a request, get it in as soon as you can. Get it in now. So with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and I will catch you all later. Peace.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?